Hey y'all, so while I was still done up, I thought I would take advantage and actually film my TBR for y'all because we are starting Rom-Com Readathon and I am so excited. I've been reading a bunch of sad books and a horror book, so I'm very ready for some uplifting, happy, giggly, light things. I say that, and these books might get more serious than I'm anticipating, but we'll see. Anyway, so this is the third round of RomComathon. I'll put information for all of the creators in the description down below. I highly suggest following all three of them. This time around, the theme is going to be rom-com movies, which I love. They made this bingo board over here. Some people are trying 7 and 7. No, not gonna happen here. I will be surprised if I get all 4 books I have currently planned, but we're gonna be hopeful. So starting out for Sweet Home Alabama, a second chance romance, I'm gonna be reading Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur, or technically I'm gonna be finishing this book. I was reading it for my second chance romance 5x5, which actually recently came out, so I'll put a link to that in the cards. However, at the time when I was reading this and filming those updates, the HarperCollins strike was still going on, so to stand in solidarity with the strike, I didn't want to post a review of this, meaning I just didn't finish reading it, but I've been wanting to come back around. I was enjoying it for the most part. It's a second chance romance between these two childhood best friends who finally gave into their feelings for one another for a spring break, then basically never talked about it again. They've now run back into each other's lives when Olivia is hired to plan the wedding for Margot's best friends who are getting married. Then there's another jump when they end up living together because Olivia's apartment is flooded and Margot needs a roommate. So lots of tension. Like I said, I was enjoying it. I just ended up having to put it down due to the strike and needing to prioritize books for that video. Now that the strike has ended, I can finally finish this out and actually give a review and feel positive about that. This will also be fulfilling the prompt for 4 Weddings and a Funeral, features a wedding, obviously, because Olivia is a wedding planner. So for Friends with Benefits, or the Friends to Lovers trope, I am going to be reading Head Over Heels by Hannah Ornstein. This is the pick for the book club I do with a few friends. I believe we are following this ex-gymnast who ends up working with a gymnast coach to try and train a girl, and they start to fall for one another. I've heard fairly positive things about this book from the people who have read it. I just don't know too many people who have read it. I used to be really interested in gymnastics, so chances are I will enjoy that area of the plot, but Friends to Lovers isn't my absolute favorite trope, so we'll see how that goes. For Dirty Dancing, which is one of my faves, Age Gap, I am actually going to be going with What If You and Me by Ronnie Lauren. Now, I technically don't know this is Age Gap, but somebody had it marked as that on Goodreads, so I'm trusting their opinion. This is the second book in the Say Everything series by Ronnie Lauren. I absolutely adored the first one, Yes and I Love You. It made it on my best books of 2022 list, so here's hoping I will love this one just as much. I've heard only positive things about it, and I'm actually going to be buddy reading it with Michelle because she read Yes and I Love You after I loved it so much, and so this way we can kind of flip out about it together. I know we are following Andy, who was friends with Holland in the first book. She writes horror stories and ends up sort of becoming friends with her next door neighbor who is a retired firefighter, and then I think they slowly start to fall for one another. Firefighter. Come on. Similar with the first book, I do believe there are some heavier topics in that Andy has anxiety, so there will be a little bit of depth to the book as well, but I'm also hoping it'll be nice and steamy, just like Yes and I Love You was. Finally, for the last book I'm going to be reading, she says hopefully, to fulfill Love Actually, a dual point of view, I'm going to be going with Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly. This is the next book in the Love and Other Disasters series. I actually read that first one for the first round of RomComathon, so kind of keeping a trend here. This one is a male-male romance, and I believe it is 2 men who are hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and I think initially they just continuously keep running into each other and sparks fly. I heard a lot of positive things from M at 21 Readers, so I am very hopeful I'm going to love this one. I have an arc of it, which means I can only read it digitally on my phone. Not the best for me, but we're gonna make it work. It'll be fine. So those are all 4 of the books I'm planning to read this week. Hopefully I can get through all of them. That would be fantastic. If I can't, I guess it's more like 3.5 because I have already read about half of Count Your Lucky Stars. So that's nice now that I think about it. Hi, wow, this lighting really sucks, but I realized I haven't filmed an update today. Hey, it's Monday. Work was literally insane today. I thought with me being the only person at the office, and I say at the office and I'm the only person actively working right now because everybody else is at a conference, I thought things would be chill. No, it was so busy. It was so incredibly busy. I'm wiped. And then I finished the day and I was like, I need to take all of this energy that I'm barely hanging on to and go work out before I lose it. So I walked Faith, I did a HIIT workout, which I'm really proud of myself for actually doing that. And then I ate some of the leftover veggie pot pie that I made last week and it was delicious. Yeah, it was nice. It was very nice. After that, I started back into What If You and Me by Ronnie Lauren. So I read a bit of this last night, this morning, and then again tonight. So I'm currently at page 72 and I am very much enjoying this. So Andy does have anxiety, but apparently she also has PTSD due to some event that occurred when she was a teenager. I don't know exactly what it is, but we know that the event resulted in a person being sent to jail. So that's very interesting. Definitely makes me a little sad already. On the opposite side with Hill, turns out he is actually a ex-firefighter who apparently did not want to leave being a firefighter, but was forced to when he lost a leg while working. Definitely some interesting discussions there as well, because he's also dealing with depression and trying to find a new normal for himself now that his life has unfortunately imploded. Along with losing his leg, he now has lost his job, the thing that really gave him meaning. And also his fiance ended up leaving him, which, oh my God, we see a little bit of her and she sucks. She sucks a lot. I do like the dynamic between Andy and Hill. They are definitely opposites attract. Hill is pretty introverted, and although he comments about in his previous life, he was very charming, charismatic, could definitely talk it up with the ladies. Now he's just so scared to get out there. He's scared of how people react to him. At one point, Andy says something trying to be nice and he instinctively takes it as a dig at his disability. But then later, I appreciate that they actually communicated both of their sides and what they were trying to do with that. So right there, we love healthy communication. I also adore seeing Andy talk about horror movies and true crime cases. It's really interesting seeing as how I like both of those things as well. It's interesting again because it's just something that sort of connects them but also definitely separates them. Right at the beginning of the book, Andy is trying to write her horror story and it's really late and she can hear Hill stomping around on the opposite side of the duplex. She kind of has this ongoing joke that he is a werewolf because he's always up at night. He is bearded and he stomps around. Things are only worsened though whenever he starts playing country music. The direct quote, "Oh sweet baby Jesus, the werewolf listened to country music. Would the torture never end?" Yeah, I'm loving this. We also see a little snippet of Helen and Jasper from the first book and they're adorable. They're engaged and I love them. I love them so much. I'm not surprised at all that I'm enjoying this as much as I am. I said I was buddy reading this with Michelle. She sort of left me in the dust, but I don't mind because now as I'm reading it, I can just text her my thoughts. That works out for me. But also she already gave it 5 stars, so it kind of tells me that chances are I'm absolutely going to adore the rest of this book just as much as I am now. Ronnie Lauren's character work is just so strong. I truly already feel like I know both of these characters so well. I can see how their personalities mesh. I can see the differences that kind of work in a relationship between the two of them. It's great. I love it. I considered starting an audiobook today, but I'm not sure if I want to try and read more than one book at a time, seeing as how obviously all of the books on my TBR are romances and I don't want to get anything confused. So rather I finished out another book that I was currently in the middle of, which is great for me because that adds to my page count, but I can't really talk about it in this video because it wasn't a romance. So anyway, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I also need to gather up all his gifts and sign his card, I just realized. Right now I'm watching Michelle and Brianna do some sprints and that's been helping me work through some more of my book, but I was also doing laundry and so I'd have to take pauses to fold, and now that I'm finally done, I'm gonna try and dedicate this next 20 minutes of the sprint to reading. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. You can feed Sam right now if you want.
Where's his food?
Open my closet door, step in, turn to the left. Happy Valentine's Day! So obviously Josh is here. We went out and had a delicious dinner at Sushi. Before I take off all my makeup and, you know, we laze around for the rest of the night, I figured I should actually film my update. I have read a little bit further into What If You and Me. I'm currently at about 146 and I'm in love with both Andy and Hill 100%. They're both just so pure, so sweet. They are basically now doing this exchange where Andy educates Hill about horror movies and Hill is going to teach Andy how to cook. On top of that, they've both acknowledged the fact that they have feelings for one another, but because of the weird aspects in their life that have put them in ruts, essentially, they don't quite know if they're comfortable with being a couple just yet. So they've acknowledged that they want to make out and things, but still are sort of friends. Haven't put an official label on it, but that just sounds like it's going to be a great time for tension and that eventually things are going to explode. Annoy Ronnie Lauren. It's going to be nice and spicy and I'm very into that. A direct quote about their relationship setup that made me laugh. "This has to be a crock pot experiment, cooked low and slow." That's the least sexy analogy I've ever heard. We're a pot roast. And that shit is hilarious. Anyway, that's really it for now. Work was fine, but it's Valentine's Day and now I want to go get all of these nice clothes and be in my comfortable pajamas. Hey friends, so guess what? I literally didn't film a single thing yesterday. I didn't film B-roll, I didn't film an update, and to be fair, I think I only really read a little bit while I was at the hairdresser's, which on that note, yes, I got my hair redone. You can kind of see it. I got it a little bit darker, so right now it's like really dark because there's still a lot of dye in it, but I did get a darker red. I'm less strawberry blonde and now more officially red, and I'm really digging it. But anyway, yeah, while I was at the hairdresser, I did get a little bit more of What If You and Me read, and I am really enjoying this. I have done a terrible job at RomComathon this week. I've barely worked through one book and it's already Thursday. Oh my gosh. I think it's just because life is a lot crazier. What with Tuesday was Valentine's Day and then Josh ended up staying over on Wednesday because he didn't have work, so he just kind of kept me company for most of the day. Then I have to go to my brother's tonight since I didn't go on Tuesday. We're gonna be going to see Quantumania on Friday night, and then I'm going to Josh's Saturday. So like this is a very busy week, and I think that really is just cut into a lot of my reading time. So I have about 45 pages left in this. I'm loving this. I'm in love with both Hill and Andy. I think each of them are adorable. They are so well created. I am not surprised because Ronnie Lauren's character work is just absolutely fantastic. She fully fleshes them out. They have such well-rounded personalities. They have explored backgrounds. Each of these characters have trauma that they're both working through, and I love that they're helping each other and then also taking strides to improve themselves at the same time. Hill's ex-fiance is the freaking worst, and while I wanted him to continue being a petty ass, he was an adult about it and actually had like a very adult conversation with her, and I was so proud of him in the moment. But then also there's like this additional element where he gets to be a little petty and it makes it so much more fun. The one thing I don't like is I don't appreciate it's not even miscommunication, because Hill thinks what he's doing is a good thing for Andy. Andy has feelings for him, has serious feelings for him, and she wants to officially be his girlfriend and like have this be a serious relationship, whereas Hill is like, oh no, I'm just a practice guy, I'm helping you get over your trauma, like what we have isn't gonna end up being anything real. I understand that that reflects more on him than it does on Andy, but like, oh my god, I just want to wrap him up in a hug and say like, it's okay, she can be all of that for you. You don't have to put yourself down like this. And they're so cute. I also love that he is also trying to find a new passion for himself, seeing as how he can't be a firefighter anymore, and something he really loves doing is cooking because he was the chef of the firehouse, seeing as how I really enjoy cooking, and now I'm just like, yes, you can do this. Go for it, buddy. Like, throw your all into it. And Andy's trying to be right there with him and support him. It's just, I love it. It's so good, y'all. It's so good. Ronnie Lauren's writing is fantastic. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that Michelle left me in the dust, because she was trying to do 7 books in 7 days and it has taken me 5 days to get this far. And this was not a long book. I'm determined to finish this tonight. I'm gonna do it. And then I think I'm just gonna try and crank out Count Your Lucky Stars via audio. I also have the physical, so I could like do both of them and work through that really quickly. And then the question is, do I prioritize either the book club book that I have or the arc that I have? I do have a little bit more time to get the arc read. I don't know which one, because I do want to read my arc a little bit more than the book club book, but it's a book club book. I should like actually read it in the month that it's for. Hey guys, so once again, I have absolutely sucked at filming B-roll today. I actually ended up having a pretty good day. I went with my dad to go get torchies, which was just delicious as always, and the taco of the month. Amazing. It was so good. Scallywag, forgot how delicious it is. Then tonight I went out with some friends and Josh and my brother, and we all went to go see the new Ant-Man. I know it's getting review bombed, but honestly I think it was a lot of fun. I think it's one of those where it's like, it's a serious movie, but it also doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very goofy, it's very out there, and I liked that about it. It was very entertaining. Not to mention Kang was just so good. So good. I mean, like, it's fantastic. And then Paul Rudd. I mean, who doesn't just love Paul Rudd? Anyway, in regards to actual book updates, so I actually did finish What If You and Me last night, and unsurprisingly, I absolutely loved it. The way the third conflict was handled. On one hand, like, the reason they broke up, one of those things that I do not enjoy. The way it was then handled and then what led up to, like, the final events. Fantastic. I love that there's kind of this element where Andy gets to save herself, but Hill also gets to still be her knight in shining armor. I really liked how that was handled. It was so good. I adored this book just as much as the first one. I do think the spice in the first one was a little bit better than this, but spice in this still pretty strong. Since I finally finished this, I did listen to some more of the audiobook for Count Your Lucky Stars, and currently I am at, I think I'm in chapter 11? No. I'm further than that. Between like chapter 14 or something now. I don't even know. I do like this. I like Margot and Olivia. It's driving me crazy that they won't just talk about their relationship. They're both like assuming the other person only wants them to be friends with benefits. They're both just pretending like they're happy with that. It's very obvious that they have feelings for one another, and it's weird that like they're just not acknowledging it. I don't get it. And then now they're in the situation where it's very clear Brendan, I think he's the love interest in the second book, which I haven't read the previous two books because neither of them really appealed to me too much. Brendan from the second book is apparently like very much a matchmaker, and he's trying to match up Olivia with one of his groomsmen. Obviously, it's driving Margot insane because she wants Olivia, even though she won't admit to the fact that she wants Olivia. On one hand, I do think that's entertaining because of that whole situation that's being set up, but on the other hand, it's also just already annoying because I just want them to talk things out. This is my issue with friends with benefits scenarios. It's just so often it's incredibly frustrating where both characters just don't want to talk about their feelings because they're like, oh, the other person's happy with this setup, even though it's very, very clear and obvious that no, they want more too. It's one of those scenarios where it's like suspension of disbelief, but it's really hard. It's really hard to do that because it's just so obvious to you as the reader. Anyway, I'm gonna go take a shower, and then I am planning to continue reading this physically so I can hopefully, maybe at least, finish a second book in this video. So I just finished out Count Your Lucky Stars on audio while I was driving over to Josh's. I've been listening to it for most of the morning, and I have to say it was fine. I liked the first half a lot more, even though I read the first half like a while back, I guess last month technically. I felt like I was more invested in the relationship then because it seemed like there was more tension between the two of them, and when there's the whole awkwardness of their previous relationship that was affecting their current relationship as roommates and sort of friends. It was more fun, but once we hit the friends with benefits stage, I don't know, know, I guess I didn't enjoy the fact that they weren't a couple, but they kind of were. They basically were a couple, but just wouldn't label it as that because each of them was equally as terrified that the other person didn't want them to be a couple. I get fear of rejection. I totally understand it, especially for Margot, who very clearly had a fear of abandonment. Totally understood why they didn't talk, but it was just so frustrating. I just kept thinking, if y'all just had a sit-down conversation, this would be so easy. This would have been resolved that quickly if y'all just talked out your feelings. They finally do, after Margot makes an ass of herself because she's jealous that Brendan is trying to set up Olivia with this other guy. Finally have this sit-down conversation, and I was like, you know what? Hopefully that was the third act conflict. Like, that was it right there. They finally talked things out. They're gonna be a couple. It'll be smooth sailing from here. And then it wasn't. There was still a third act conflict, which just felt sort of extension of the conversation they should have already been having. It was just frustrating. And then with the third act conflict, like, I understood what both parties were trying to say about the other person, but it just wasn't handled well. I just didn't agree with what was being talked about, like, in the moment. It's very hard to talk about this without spoilers, but it was just frustrating. So by the end of the book, I didn't really care about them anymore. I didn't care that they finally were a couple. It's such a shame. I haven't done a call pile breakdown, so I don't know 100% what my feelings are, but like, I really liked the first half of this. The second half was just whatever. Off of this, I don't think I'm gonna read the previous two. I haven't had a big draw to read them before doing this third one. And then I was looking at reviews of this one, and it seems a lot of people say this is their favorite. If I only felt mid about the best one of the series, I probably won't care about any of the others. Since I finished that, I also went ahead and started on the audiobook for Head Over Heels by Hannah Ornstein. And already I think it's a little odd that for some reason we're getting this whole dive into the main character's previous relationship. Like, it's like we're just getting this big exposition dump about her other relationship that she just ended, which is like, why? I don't get that. Anyway, I'm at Josh's. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it's cold, so I'm gonna go inside now. Hey y'all, so guess who basically just completely disregarded filming an update for the rest of the weekend? I did actually get some more reading done. So while I was heading over to Josh's, like I talked about before, I finished out Count Your Lucky Stars. I've since done my official pop pile breakdown, actually wrote out a review, and I think I disliked this more than I was thinking. I was trying to be more positive about it, but in reality, now having sat on it, I don't think this worked out for me, unfortunately. Perhaps if I had read the rest of this series, maybe I would have felt more positive about this. I definitely think the epilogue would have hit me in the feels even more, but I didn't read the rest of the series, and after finishing this one, I honestly don't really want to. I also got a little bit further into Head Over Heels. I'm maybe 10% into this, and I do still think it's weird that so much of the beginning part of this book is dedicated to our main character Avery's previous relationship. I guess I see how it gives us a frame of reference for where she is in her life. She's really down. She kind of just lost the one thing that she had really been clinging onto for some amount of normalcy. And now that she is living with her parents again, she's trying to figure out something new for herself. She loves gymnastics, but she also doesn't really want to go back to it because it's such a sore spot for her. I do like the way this author talks about gymnastics, but in regards to like the rest of the writing, I just feel like a lot of Avery's background has sort of been given to us in like these giant info dumps. It's just not the strongest way to start out. We have met the coach character that she's going to start working with in order to train this new girl to possibly make it towards the Olympics, and I believe he is going to be the actual love interest. Apparently, she actually had a crush on him when she was a teenager. They both competed in gymnastics, but obviously like their gymnastics styles aren't exactly the same due to their genders. So I'm feeling a little bit more positive about this because I like the gymnastics angle. She made a reference to the movie Stick It, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, so I appreciate that. But as far as romance goes, nothing too strong yet. And then finally, the last book that I did make a good deal of progress into was Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly. I have an arc of this, and I am going to be releasing a arc reading vlog in a few weeks with a full review, but by this point, I'm currently about 62% into this book, and I am freaking loving it. It is so good. The main characters are both just so cute. They're so adorable. They are each hiking the Pacific Coast Trail, which I guess spans from Mexico to about the Canadian border. Each of them are there for different reasons. Our one male character, 𝗖cie, is trying to find a new happiness for himself, trying to figure out how his new life is going to be, because he has now been disowned by his parents because he came out as gay. He just recently lost his job, and the one thing really tying him to Portland, where he currently lives, is his sister, and they don't have the best relationship. So he's really trying to figure out where he wants to go. 𝗖cie is also struggling with his faith because he grew up in a very conservative, strict religious household. No specific religion listed, but I feel like you can kind of assume. And because of that, he hasn't really experienced a lot of things. He is quite sheltered, which I do think lends into the adorable naivety that his character has. On the opposite side, we have Ben, who has finally sort of gotten his life together. He is going to become a nurse. He is very excited for it, but he is determined to do this trip because it is something he's always wanted to do. And whilst on the trip, he is telling himself he will not make any bad decisions, and bad decisions include 𝗖cie. Y'all, I love them so much. Ben is so head over heels for 𝗖cie, and part of the entertainment in the two of them longing for each other is that 𝗖cie does not realize Ben is gay because he's quite sheltered. He has not had a lot of experience with gay men, and so sometimes Ben will make comments and 𝗖cie's like, "Are you making fun of me?" But he hasn't put two and two together and hasn't openly admitted that, which just leans into the ridiculousness of why it's so absolutely hilarious. The two of them are also so freaking cute. This does get a little bit spicy. Just across the board, I'm really enjoying this. I'm very impressed with the atmosphere also. I feel like there wasn't a ton of that in the first book in the series, Love and Other Disasters, but so far, Anita Kelly has really just created these absolutely beautiful descriptions of the scenic route they are taking. I really feel like I am doing this trek with them. I've definitely started to think about the last time Josh and I went hiking, and it's making me want to go hiking, even though I could never do this Pacific Coast Trail thing. Nope, not me. At the end of the week, I didn't finish all 4 books, but I at least finished 2 books and roughly 70% of a third, technically, between the other 2. Not the most successful reading vlog ever, but not terrible also. Alright y'all, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!